Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm bringing my clock up here because first service I went over by 2 hours. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But anyway, seriously, I've been part of this. I walked into this way of thinking 7 years ago when I walked through the doors of Namaste with Reverend Kristen Hawkins. But I've been with you guys for 5 years in January. And I just love this journey with you guys. You just always love me up and give me hugs and smiles. And I just, it's just like being with family every time I walk through the door. So to give my first talk with you guys is just very special for me. And I'm hoping that I have a message for you that will touch your heart through my own experiences and the kind of researching, and it's like this talk title is on focus, and so I'm like, okay, we're going to talk about focus, and so I started going down that avenue and started preparing, because we have a couple of months to prepare, and so you start thinking about it, and then I'm going down focus, and just wasn't resonating with me, but I knew on focus is the way that you can change your life the most quickly and the most dramatically. And so I was just really grabbing a hold of that focus. And I was working through the talk, and it just wasn't gelling for me. And then it hit me, what this talk is all about. And what this talk about is acceptance. And so I saw focus is the how, but acceptance is the why. And so I'm taking a little deviation from focus, and let's talk about acceptance. And so I have life experiences that I go through, and I just always look for the deeper meaning, whether it's somebody talking to me or whether it's a song or whether it's a movie. And that's what I chose to talk about to you today is a movie. And so, but then it reminded me before I started, I wanted to tell you about some teachings I had with the 4 agreements. And I think a lot of you that know me know I'm really resonating with the 4 agreements. And there's a story that's in there about a movie theater. There's a meditation that's in there, and you can go to that meditation, and what it sets up the scene of you walking into a theater where there's a movie theater, and there's 300 seats in the movie theater, 300 seats, but there's only one person in the theater, and they're sitting in the middle, and they're watching the movie, and it's set up so that you walk in, and the person doesn't know that you're there, and so you walk up behind the person, and you look up on the screen, and you see people that you know. You see your mom and your dad and your siblings and your friends, and then you start focusing on that one person that's watching the movie, and you realize that it's you, that you're watching the movie, and you go, oh, okay, but why am I the only one in here? And so then you go, oh, that's interesting, and then as you look, you see a door off to the side, and you go, wonder where that door goes to. So you go and you open that door, and you see the same theater, the same 300 seats in a movie, and a single person, and you notice that it's your mom or your dad, and you go over there and you look up at the screen and you see the characters, and they're like, they look like the characters that you know, but they're just a little bit distorted, and you're like looking at it and you're going, well, yeah, that's my mom, and there's me, but wait a minute, it's not quite the same. Well, it's because you're looking at those characters through the eyes of your mom or your dad, and you keep going in this meditation through the different rooms with your siblings and your friends. And the most profound thing that I got out of this teaching that just came to me was that everybody is making their own movie. Everybody is making their own movie, and then you're just a supporting cast. And so in other people's movies. And so then it was like, oh, wow. So that means that emotion that's in the interactions with other people, it's really them experiencing their own movie, and I'm just supporting them. And oh yeah, I can set my own destiny, and how I react to other people and all. It's all about me. It's about my reaction, and it's about it's my movie. I'm the director. I'm the producer. So that meditation just has just changed my life. And so movies is also something that I really like. And so that's what I want to talk to you today about is a movie. And you know, movie kind of equates to life situations for me. And I always look for that hidden meaning in a movie. But before I get to the movie, I wanted to see how many sports fans are out there. How many people love football? Let's see a show of hands of football. How about basketball? A few more, all right. What about golf? A few more. Okay. What about cricket? Oh, I got one hand. Got two hands. All right, got a couple of them. But horse racing. All right. So we have a lot of sports fans out there, but the one that I want to talk to you today about is golf. And before I talk about the movie, I just want to talk a little bit about playing the game of golf. And so the game of golf is played with 18 holes, and you strike a little ball, and you try to land up on this flat grass, and there's a hole somewhere in the grass, and you try to get in that hole. And every time you try to hit the ball, you have to count it. And so now the pros, they can do that hitting, and they can get around 60 or 70 hits and be done. And when I started playing, all right, I started out, and so I was like, started hitting the ball, and my boss, way back when I was 100% travel, he said, okay, you're coming down to LA, Orange County all the time, you're going to be away from your family, here's some golf clubs, get you a Disneyland pass, and between the Disneyland pass and the golf clubs, your evenings will be entertaining. And so I went to a place called a driving range, and I started hitting the ball, and I would hit the ball, and then sometimes it would go straight, but most of the time it wouldn't. It would go over here, or would go over here, or it would go right there. And so I just said, what's going on here? And so I would always focus on where the ball landed, always. You know, and I'd watch it, and I would go over there, don't want to hit it over there, and hit it again. And sometimes I would even miss the ball because I was looking to where it was going, not to hitting the ball. And so I kept doing that. Now, a round of golf, if you're at my caliber, it takes like 4 to 6 hours to complete a game. The pros do it in like 3 hours. And so you watch them on TV, you get the low scores, and they do it quick, and then you go out there and, I'm supposed to do it like that. Well, no. I mean, after I got so that I could hit the ball straight, then I went out on a course. And do you know that they put trees in your way? And they have these ditches that they fill with sand, and they call them traps. And they have ponds of water, and they have creeks, and they have ravines. And they actually have elements in the ponds that attract golf balls. So if you hit them, they just go right in the water. And I'm like, I've had all these challenges. I'm just hitting it straight, and now you're going to throw all this at me? I don't know. It was kind of tough for me. Now, we have the pros, and so those people that can deal with the traps and the trees and the ravines. And so whenever they get together, they actually have proven that they're good enough to play the game. And so then they play, and then they practice, and then they have tournaments. And so on the tournaments, it's they're hitting that, and the lowest score wins. So you go out there and the lowest score wins. And then some of them, if you prove in the tournaments that you can hit the ball, well then they let you go to these best of the best tournaments. And in golf, they're called the majors. So in the world of golf, there's 2 central points for golf. One is in Britain, because the British started the whole golf thing, so there's the British Open over there, and then you have the U.S. Open here in the United States. And so the movie that I'm going to talk to you about is it's a Disney movie that came out in 2005, and the name of the movie is The Greatest Game Ever Played. And it is about the 1913 U.S. Open. And so let's talk about that a little bit as I set it up for you. And so there's a lot of people that played in that tournament, but the movie focuses on 2 people. I'll just call one of them was Varden. He was a British guy, and the other guy was named Francis Ouimet, and he was an amateur. meaning he didn't go through and become a pro and prove that, he could play, but he was asked to play. And so you got these two guys, and they're playing. So now the pros, whenever they play, they're playing for hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars at a time. And so when I'm playing with my son, we get bragging rights just for a little while, till the next game, But the pros, they're doing it for money. And so in addition to the outside effect of getting the bragging rights or making a bunch of money, there's an internal battle that's going on in every golfer. Every golfer has this internal struggle about how can they do their best and how can they hit that ball and how can they present their best foot forward. And so that internal struggle, a lot of times, all the time really, is more stronger and more intense than the external, the effect. The result of the tournament is just the result of the tournament. Every time a ball is hit, there's an internal struggle, an internal battle that is happening. And so let's talk about these two players. So Vardon, he's from Britain, and he's 43, so he's kind of pretty already established himself as really good. He's won 5 British Opens before this tournament, and so he's kind of established himself as the best of the best already. He went on to win 6 Open titles, 48 titles overall. So he was really known as one of the superstars of golf early on. Actually, the PGA and the British both give out a trophy in his honor, in his name, every year to the golfer with the lowest score. So you can get the idea that Vardon was kind of a prominent force in golf. And then you have Frances. Now, Frances was 20 years old. He lived across the street from the golf course. He loved golf, but he was told all the time, you are not good enough to golf. You are not wealthy enough. You are not good enough. Don't play the game. Stay away from it. It's not for you. It's not about you. You just can't do it. And so he's like, but I like it. So he became a caddy. So a caddy is somebody that just carries the clubs for somebody that's actually playing. And so he became a caddy at the club. And then he was on the course a lot, and so he was able to obtain clubs and balls, and he started playing the game, and he just loved it. But all the time he was told, you're not good enough, stop playing. As a matter of fact, his father told him to stop playing the game and do something useful with his life. And when he entered this tournament, his father even told him, now imagine, you're going to do this tournament, you're doing something that's never been done before, you're an amateur, and your father comes up and says, if you decide to play, you have to move out. You can no longer live in this household because you've chosen to play in this tournament. So imagine the things that are going on in his head. But what happened is there's acceptance going on. That's what happened. That was the key part of the movie. So first look at Vardon. He accepted the fact that he was good enough to play, and he proved that he was good enough to play. Even though he had those demons of his past of being told over and over and over again he wasn't good enough. And then Frances himself, he's like, I can play this game. I love this game. I'm going to play the game. So they accepted that they could be the best they could on that day, and the best person would win. And so to cut the movie short so I won't talk for 2 hours, Frances wins that. Frances wins the match. So it's pretty exciting. But let's talk a little bit about techniques. Now, we talked about Vardon. He's 43 years old, and he's constantly been told as a kid that he wasn't good enough. And now he's 43, and he still has all of that in his mind. And so what he does is he stands there before he hits the ball, and he just blanks out all of the crowd. Now, at the time of this tournament, 1913, there were 20,000 people there. 20,000 people watching you. Can you imagine that pressure of 20,000 people watching you? So it's pretty intense. And so what he does is he just blocks out the noise. He blocks out the people. And then he stands there, and he doesn't go to hit the ball yet because he has 4 people, 4 old men in top hats and black coats that are across his way, and they represent his past, all the elders that told him he was not good enough to play. And so he just stands there, and one by one, they disappear. And after they're all gone, he sees the flagstick of his target, and he hits the ball, and that's the only thing on his mind. But he has to go through that process every time he hits the ball. That's how he deals with his past. Now, Francis is, on the other hand, he doesn't have this long past, because they're telling him right now he's not good enough. He doesn't have anything embedded in him. And he has people cheering for him. So he has one group cheering for him because, hey, we might have an American that's going to be better than the British. Oh, let's go after this guy. And on the other hand, they're going, but he hasn't earned his spot. He's not good enough. He doesn't deserve to be up there. And so Francis, all he did was accept the fact that he was asked to play. And Varden, he's playing because it's the best of the best, and he wants to play. And so what they do is they accept who they are, and they accept where they are, and that they're playing a game that they love, and they accept the outcome. There's a lot of accepting going on here. They're accepting themselves, and they're accepting the outcome, so that if whatever happens, the best man's going to win on that day. And that's their approach. And that's what they, had to get over. But once they accepted what was going on, they had a victory within their mind, and then the tournament was just secondary. So Ernest Holmes has a quote that I'd like to share with you. The possibility of demonstrating does not depend upon environment, condition, location, personality, or opportunity. It depends solely upon our level, upon our belief and our acceptance, and our willingness to comply with the law through which all good comes. So let's look at this quote in regards to these two guys and what they did. So we know that they were good players. Varden was a good player, and Francis was a good player because they asked him to play, and they went through that level of acceptance. And once they got there, was it the opportunity? Was that the dominant factor? Was it the location? Was it personality? Condition? Those all play, and that's probably why it gets a little confusing, because they're all a part of it. But really, the acceptance of themselves for doing the best they can, that's the dominant piece. And that's why they prevailed that day. So, but let's talk about me. Let's make this all about me. So let's talk about my story. So I go and I'm, hitting the golf ball, and so I'm hitting that golf ball and I'm watching it go in all those different directions, and so then I decide, I need to take a lesson, because this ball is not obeying. I order it to go straight, and it doesn't. So I have to have lessons. So I went and I took lessons, and it was very profound for me, because I learned that where the ball went and what it looked like really has nothing to do with the game of golf. It has all to do with the preparation before you hit the ball. So I learned, you've got to pick the right club. You got to be in the right position. You got to swing it correctly. All of that goes into the factor of hitting that ball. And then once you hit the ball, there is nothing you can do to affect that ball. You can't keep it out of the pond. You can't keep it out of the trees. You can't keep it 5 feet in front of you. Once you hit the ball, it's going to go wherever it's going to go. So that preparation is what I learned in my lessons. And so I do that now, that preparation, and so whenever I hit the ball, wherever it lands, I don't get all frustrated about it. I just go, that's where I'm going to do, and guess what? I get a full opportunity at that next ball. So no matter what happened, I get to do the preparation again, I get to do the clubs, and I get to do the swing, I get to do all of that over again. But so initially I was like, very frustrated, because it has to be like what's on TV, right? You watch it on TV, you go out and you hit 62, it always goes where you want it to go. That's not how it was initially. And my son started playing with me, and funny enough, he had the same outlook. He was pretty frustrated, and so we would throw the clubs up in the air, throw them down, so that club's not doing what it's supposed to do. And we actually saw some people that got a lot worse. We saw people break a club over their leg, and that club was bad, and throw it away. And we actually saw a guy once where he took his whole bag off of the cart and walked it over to the pond and threw it in. Because it was obvious that it was because of those clubs that ball was not going where it was supposed to go. And so we found out that, you know what? You get out of it what you put into it. Those pros that are getting those 60 and 70 scores, which is really good, well, they play every day. And they've been playing every day for 10 years, 15, 20 years, but they play every day. And so you get out of it what you put into it. And so that's where we changed our outlook. And we started having fun at the game. We got rid of this expectation that we should be like the pros. We got rid of the expectation that the ball should go every time, right, where we ordered it to go. We got rid of that, and we started having a good time. And we knew that at the time that we hit the ball, we were doing the best we could with what we knew at that time. We accepted ourselves as we were, and we focused on our relationship. So we spent 4 to 6 hours together for each round of golf, and we had fun. And sometimes we kept score, sometimes we didn't. We would keep scores when it was good. And then when it was bad, there's a thing called a mulligan, and that means, oh, that didn't count. I've got another ball. And so we focused on the experience, not on where the ball landed. We focused on the experience. And so we just loved life, and we do love life, and we love being together, and we look for those times. My 2 sons just joined me in Vegas last week for Thanksgiving, and we golfed around, and we had a great time. We had a great time. And we kept score for a while, and then we were like, oh, we don't really need to keep score. And then, of course, the ones that are having a good game, they go, what's your score? What do you got? What do you got? What do you got? What do you got? And the ones that, are in double digits, they're going, oh, no, we're not keeping score anymore. But that was the fun of it. That was the experience. And so what it boils down to is it's the experience. It's the preparation that you don't expect to get something that you have not put the time in to get. If you want something different in life, then put the time in, and you'll get results. Will you get the results that you want? Not necessarily, but you have that opportunity to go to that next spot and start all over again and put another intention out there into the universe. There's another quote that I have from Ernest Holmes that just is exhilarating to me. And it's short, but it carries a lot of power in it. It's so much power in it that I'm going to read it 25 times. No, I'll just do it twice. Within us is the unborn possibility of limitless experience. Within us is the unborn possibility of limitless experience. That's a lot of balls to be hit. And they can go wherever you want them to go. And that's pretty exciting. And that's exciting for me because I can take, we're not all golfers, and you don't need to be a golfer to understand that preparation is the key, and accepting yourself as perfect, whole, and complete, just as you are right now. And also accepting everybody that you see as perfect, whole, and complete. Everybody has those qualities. There is no exception out there. And so as you feel that, and as you accept that, you can't help but love life and love the experiences that you create, and you strive to have more and more greater experiences. And for me, I am so grateful for all of you that I get to share this experience with all of you and to share that love and maybe give you an idea today that you can take out into the world and make your life better. I love each and every one of you. And I share this love with you and this message with you, hoping that you have a better life and you smile more. Thank you. Thank you.